Good morning, everyone. Scott from Edge Lending Solutions. I hope you're all well. Look, what's in the news at the moment? I keep seeing articles, flagging articles coming out from the Treasurer, Mr. Jim Chalmers, talking about, hey, we all need to buckle up and get ready for a really hard time coming through the system due to inflation and what that's going to mean. And basically, the way that they want to deal with inflation is pretty much what the other central banks around the world are doing, which is just increasing the interest rates, which is just, to my mind, it's not the right solution. However, the RBA is pretty much led by BIS, which is kind of in cahoots with IMF, European Central Bank and the US Fed. So we don't have any sovereign power when it comes to this sort of things. By the way, let me chime in here. I do like the idea that some countries actually set their own interest rates like we used to. This experiment of the government having zero control over the interest rates for our country it's probably only about 50 years old. We used to set our own interest rates. This is what we used to do. In times of concern, we would lower the interest rate. In good times, we would increase the interest rate, and that would affect our dollar. That would affect capital coming in. So we had a lot more control, and as citizens, we could have like some sort of quasi voice by, writing to the member, talking to the government. The government would see that the population's unhappy. They might make some adjustments accordingly. But no, we haven't done that. The only proposal I've heard to get control back of the interest rates, take control back and fix and set interest rates, was Mr. Clive Palmer. Now, people were telling him that he couldn't do it. However, Australia used to do it. It's only been 50 years since we haven't done it. So we used to do it all, through all our time. And I remember one of his policies was that I'll make sure that the banks can't charge you more than 3% for the next 5 years. And everyone went, nah, it's all bull crap. The RBA promised they wouldn't raise rates till 2024. So, Mr. Palmer, you're just full of hot air and money, and we don't trust you. So, I wonder if it had been a different politician that had that policy, whether they would have got more votes, or people still wouldn't have believed. Everyone's got short memories. They believe that you can actually do this, and you actually, as a government, you could have more control over your monetary system if you chose to. However, guess who would be angry with us? America. The European Union would be cranky at us. They would frown at us, and we'd get called into the office, basically called into the principal's office, if we stopped having a floating rate and using the Fed-style monetary system that they do. So that's what that's all about, unfortunately. Anyway, look. So Jim Chalmers has flagged that it's going to be hard times ahead, which kind of gives the green light for the RBA to continue on their very, very, very aggressive interest rate hikes. After they promised and jawboned for 2 years and convinced everyone to borrow money that rates wouldn't go up till at least 2024. So did everyone feel lied to? Well, because you got lied to. They wanted you to borrow and put a heap of money into the system to basically paper over and smooth over the GDP destroying lockdowns. That was it. If we didn't have the lockdowns, they wouldn't have lowered the rates so low and convinced everyone and incentivized everyone to borrow money to keep the economy going, to keep the biggest companies going. Anyway, that's what's happened. We can't rewrite history. We've got to deal with it. And interest rates increasing is, if you sit back and you look at the problem and you go, okay, inflation. Yeah, because I've heard it so often on the radio and the TV that I feel like I'm educated now, and all I'm going to do is keep repeating the lines that I keep seeing in the newspaper or online, or repeating the newsreader teleprompter sentences. And I feel like I understand things. Oh, inflation's going up, so to control that, we need to rise interest rates. And then if I said, explain how that works a bit better. I really can't, but I know it's true. Why do you know it's true? Because I keep hearing it. Right. So if you look at the cost inputs to society and why inflation is actually up, it's not because wages are spiraling out of control, which is what happened, in the past, and why inflation was caused, and therefore why governments around the world thought that monetary policy needed to be fairly aggressive. This is not caused by that. This is caused more because we refuse to take Russia's oil, take Russia's gas, or dig up new oil, dig up new gas for ourselves. We don't want to do that. It doesn't suit a couple of different things. It doesn't suit us fighting a war with Russia, because it's actually what we're doing. It's not a proxy war, it's actually a war because we're just arming the little guy, and we're doing it too, Australia's doing it. So we're at war with Russia, which is terrible and disgusting, because there's no path to peace when we keep doing that. We're not interested in negotiating peace and saving Ukrainian lives at all, or Russian lives. So that's what's going on there. Is we're not going to create any new energy systems, and in fact, there is a perverse incentive from some of the richest people in the world who have invested heavily in battery technology, wind technology, solar technology, to keep pushing the narrative that we shouldn't open up new oil fields, new gas fields, because they're going to make billions and billions of dollars. And so that's what's pushing prices up. The fact that we've decided that we don't want to use or chase down oil or gas at the actual correct price that it should be, based upon the amount of supply around the world. We've decided that we're just pretending that supply doesn't exist, and therefore the price can triple, and therefore everything's getting more expensive, so we're going to have to start raising interest rates. I mean, really, the RBA, for the RBA to increase rates by another %, is that going to create any new gas supply in Australia? Is it going to create any new oil supply in Australia? What if we increased it by 2%? Is it going to make any new gas fields, any new oil fields? No, it's not. It's not going to do any of those things, and that's what's actually causing inflation. So, and the hard part is this will hollow out the middle system. This not the middle system, but the middle class. Small businesses, again, perfect storm for them. Rising costs of money, rising cost of inputs, rising cost of labour, because your employees now get more paid time off. Whether it's you or whether it's them paying it, they still get time off. Productivity is disgusting. So there's a perfect storm, and small and medium enterprises is as usual, is the one who's going to have to do all the heavy lifting. Now, why is it always small and medium enterprise? Because there's no small and medium enterprise lobby. However, if I'm a huge global company, I will go and take you to lunch. I'll donate to your election campaign. If I'm a big farmer, if I'm a big military industrial complex kind of company, I'll also offer you and promise you jobs after you finish your political career. Frydenberg's got to Goldman Sachs. Christopher Pyne went to a military industrial company after he ran the military portfolio. These are the sort of things, and this is why the heavy lifting is going to be done by small and medium business in Australia. Trying to use a solution of just increasing interest rates, which is never going to put more energy supply back into the system. If you really think about it like that, you'll know that this is madness. And I think we should be pushing on. We should actually pushing on the government, saying, look, let's take control back of monetary policy to a government. Let's go back and let's investigate that experiment, which is not an experiment. The experiment of having it independent is an experiment. Let's go back and have a talk about that. Let's see if we can get control of the cost of our own funds around the world. Maybe we can have some better outcomes. I don't think we're going to have worse outcomes than what's coming down the pipeline. Increasing interest rates, or basically, which is basically a tax on money, and somehow think that's going to make oil go back to $60 a barrel, or gas go back to so much a petajoule. Or ships around the world be able to take the energy from A to B, because there's sanctions everywhere. Opening up the wheat fields because we're taking sanctions. We're not going to take any food from Russia. Obviously taking our rates from 3% to 5% is going to fix all that. It is just ridiculous, and we've all been sold a lie. So anyway, guys, I'm back from my walk. What can we do about all that? I think it's time that we at least understood the system. Solutions might come later when we have a better understanding of what's going on. at the moment, I think we just need to understand what's going on. So anyway, guys, I will talk to you soon. Remember, life is a family sport. Give yours an edge. See ya.